All right, Guard Fan Club, welcome back to the video tutorial series. We're talking about concentrated liquidity, what has become known as V3 liquidity, how to navigate that space effectively, how to become a liquidity provider in a profitable way so that you don't miss out on any gains, okay? And there were a couple comments and questions in the group, and so I just want to kind of reiterate. We're talking about base case here, okay? So what that means is typically you can come up with your worst case, your best case. Somewhere in the middle is that comfortable base case, meaning I'm not chasing the most possible maximum upside because, as we've seen, you think you're going to make more, but you actually end up either making less or getting wrecked or running into the wall. We see the outliers. We see the one guy that hits it big on I bought Dogecoin when it was, fractions of a penny and sold it at 98 cents or whatever the tippy top of that was. There's the one person who hit it big and we think, oh, that's normal. It's not normal, okay? So what base case methodology does is it sets you up to navigate the whole process and avoid all of the typical pitfalls and hiccups and hurdles along the way. So understand from the get-go, this pathway is not so that you can make the most possible money possible, okay? That's not what this is, and that's okay, because in crypto, we don't need to hit the absolute best of the best in order to make a whole lot of money and get everything that we want and need, okay? So just from the get-go, let's orient ourselves towards that end, because that's ultimately what we're moving towards. All right. Now, I've called this profitable pathways just because it's cute and clever. So there it is. And what I'm going to be talking about today is a percentage distribution. Should I hold my guard naked? Should I pair my guard? How much should I put into each one? What should I set my range to? We're going to cover all those variables. Okay. And I'm going to give you a very specific recommendation depending on your time horizon and preference, okay? And in future videos, we'll talk about other pathways, because this is not the only pathway, but this is a pathway that I think a lot of people in this group are going to find relevant and preferable to a different method, okay? So we're going to answer the question, hey, if I started with 10,000, and the number can be anything, right? I'm just using 10,000 because it's nice and round, it's easy to calculate percentages. But if I had that and I wanted to do a base case with guard in V3 liquidity specifically, what would that look like? And remember, I'm not putting down V2 liquidity. I'm just acknowledging, hey, we've evolved. There's another tool available now. V2 liquidity is still amazing if you want guard BUSD, if you want an infinite range, and you're planning on just chilling for 5 to 10 years. Literally just boop, put it there. I don't need to look at that money. It's going to do its thing, and I'll come back in 10 years and look at all this profit I made, okay? That's kind of the perspective there. We're going to be talking about more short-term and mid-range time horizons with this approach. We're going to be talking about guard and USDT. We're still on the BNB chain or the BSC chain, same thing. And we're going to be setting up those liquidity pools through Crystal, which the first video kind of walked you through, hey, in general, this is how you operate with Crystal. And then I'm going to be walking you through that process again here on this video. Okay, V3 liquidity is simply concentrated liquidity. And quick review here. Review. When you set up concentrated liquidity, when you first open your position, guard USDT in this example, you will have a ratio of those two assets in your liquidity pool. If you open up a liquidity position where the end ranges are equidistant from the current market price, then the liquidity management platform will say, okay, you're going to be about 50-50. It might be, 51-49 or whatever, but it's going to be about 50-50 distribution between those two assets, because then it can fluctuate in both directions, and the ratio distribution of those two assets inside your liquidity position will also fluctuate. Okay, you have to know that ahead of time, because it's not a bad thing, but if you see it happening and you weren't expecting it and it's foreign to you, what does the human brain do? It goes a freak out moment, right? I wasn't expecting that. Something must be wrong. What can I do? Better remove my liquidity and give up and go home. Okay, so I just want you to know ahead of time what's happening. Now, on the flip side, if you open a position with significant cushion to the upside, in this case, guard USDT, then your position is going to be more like 95% guard, 5% USDT. And that's also good because as guard goes up in value, you will be, the ratio will distribute. So whatever we're at now, it's like 0.28 or something like that, 28 cents. It's August 2nd right now, okay, 24. And maybe on the low end, you just set this to 25 cents, your liquidity range, right? The range inside of which you can earn additional trading fee income. And then I have to set some range at the high end, okay? Before, I just said, hey, put it at $1, just like for an example. But let's think through this strategically. For guard, there is a 50 million limited supply, which means if guard gets to $50 per token, that is the equivalent of a $2.5 billion market cap, okay? Do I think guard can get there? Yeah. Do other people who are in this community believe that guard can get there? Absolutely. And if you think about it, the previous all-time high, right around that $18 mark, that was just below a $1 billion market cap. So is it that outlandish that it could exceed its previous all-time high and gain a larger market cap? No, it's not that outlandish, okay? And if you go look at the market caps of top 20 and top 50 crypto projects, this actually is a pretty reasonable range, okay? Especially when we get to the moment when frenzy starts happening, high volume starts pouring in. We're just in the phase where, hey, you have an opportunity to set yourself up early, okay? And we've talked about this from the beginning. Like, this is not a thing where you get in and out in a month. You could just trade some naked guard. Hey, good job. You made a little money. Fine. No worries there. But if you want to actually have like a long-term mindset, this is the mentality. So let's say I believe in $2.5 billion market cap, and so I'm going to set my range to $50 on the top end, okay? That means when I first open this liquidity position, here's the current market rate. Crystal, or whatever liquidity management platform you happen to be using, will probably give me, I don't even know what the exact number is, but let's say 96% and 4%, meaning your initial position will be divided 96% guard and about 4% USDT. As you move in this direction, meaning as guard goes up in value per token, then your ratio distribution will more heavily lean towards USDT until when you pop out the end of the range here, if guard goes above $50, then you would be at 100% USDT, whereas if it goes out of range on this side, you would be at 100% guard. Now, the first time you see this, you might think to yourself, this is what I thought to myself when I first learned this. I was like, well, hold on a second. I want more guard. So why would I want to gradually take my position closer and closer to 100% USDT when guard is the thing that I'm after? Because along the way, the value of your liquidity pair is still rising in correlation to the appreciation of guard's price action, okay? Meaning, if I started with my 10,000, it's going to be much, much more than that, okay? We don't know exactly how much because it partially is dependent on trade volume and what you earn in trading fees and all that kind of stuff. So we don't know exactly, but it goes up in value in correlation with guard's price action, okay? Now, the net effect of this is DCA out, okay? Now, technically, that's not what's happening, right? A true DCA out would be, I bought 10,000 worth of naked guard, and as the chart pumps, I sell 1,000 worth, or I sell, 1,000 tokens, and I sell 1,000 tokens, and I sell that. Like, you just sell little bits on the way out, okay? That would be a true DCA out. What I'm talking about here is the net effect is that it functions as a DCA out because your liquidity position is gradually being converted to more and more USDT. Because you think about what's happening if the guard price is going up. more and more people are saying, I want guard out of the pool. I'm gonna get my guard. I'm gonna put more USDT in. So more and more people are putting more and more USDT in and pulling more and more guard out of the liquidity pool. So there's less and less guard available in the liquidity pool, which is why the price goes up, because there's less available and it costs more per token. So when you position yourself early and you just ride that wave, eventually when guard surpasses that $50 mark in this example, you'll be converted to 100% USDT, but it will be as if you had DCA'd out, meaning there's still significant more value in that liquidity position, but you never had to time the market and watch the screen 4 hours a day trying to figure out when you're going to do your little DCA out sells, okay? So number one, it meets the base case and chill criteria, right? Where you're just like, I put it in, I'm going to trust the process. I don't need to really like stress about it for the next 2 years while I'm waiting for that to happen. Okay, so that's the number one, like emotional, psychological benefit to it. The functional benefit, which is really cool to me, is that you don't have to constantly put sell pressure on the chart. So what we're saying is when you are a long-term minded liquidity provider and a value investor, you understand that, hey, I can enjoy the profits on the way up without putting sell pressure on the chart. What does that do? It makes the asset more attractive to people who are the traders and the bots and all this kind of stuff. Like, they'll put all the little individual buys and sells on the chart. That's good because more trade volume, that's what we're after as liquidity providers. More trade volume equals more trading fee income, which, because we're providing liquidity in the form of guard and USDT, your trading fee income will be presented to you, given to you, paid out as guard and USDT, okay, a portion of each. That way, you can ride that wave up and just keep riding it. Now, you might be asking, okay, Brandon, that's all well and good, but what about that distribution you talked about, naked guard, paired guard at the beginning? Yes, here's what I think is the best distribution. So if I had 10,000, what I'm going to recommend for everybody, and this is what I'm doing, 80-20 split. What that means is I'm going to go buy $2,000 of naked guard, okay, just guard, unpaired. Then I'm going to put the other 8,000 into the pair, but remember, when we first opened the pair, that pair is like 95-96% guard. So this buy is actually a majority guard. So you're putting a nice big juicy buy on the chart across the board, which obviously helps the long-term price action. And you don't have to worry about what happens because, like we said, as guard increases in value, your ratio distribution eventually gets to USDT. So if you did it this way, you bought 2,000 guard unpaired, and let's just say it was at 25 cents, right? Just to make the math easy here. You would get about, what does that come out to? Times 4. You get about 8,000 guard tokens, okay? Then on here, you're going to get much, much more than that, of course, but it'll be directly paired and put into the liquidity pool. What I'm saying is that 8,000 guard, you come over here, by the time we get to $50, just the naked guard alone is going to be, what is that? That's like a 200x or something like that. That's a 200x on your 2,000 or whatever initial amount that you put in. But by the time you get all the way up to $50, you can just sell that unpaired guard and great. Who cares? Like, it's going to be minuscule on the chart. Plus, if all of us collectively have been putting enough liquidity, the liquidity pool is very, very deep, which means the price impact of those sells when we get to that range will be very, very minimal. It was like it won't even register at that point, okay? So you get the nice hearty 200x there, and then your other pair will have been converted to USDT. And again, I don't know the exact how many multipliers it'll be. It depends partially on the trade volume and the trading fees earned and all that, but it will still also be a significant profit. And when you get to that point, then there's another choice. I've been converted to 100% USDT in my liquidity position. Guard has surpassed $50. I'm now going to cash out. I'm going to remove my liquidity because I'm now out of range. And I can choose, do I want to put it back in the liquidity pool and pick a new range, maybe 40 to 100 or something like that, or I can collect it as USDT, or I can collect it as more Guard, which is then I can ride the next wave up, okay? So I know that there's a lot of variables here and a lot of things to consider. All I want to do, because I don't want these videos to go on too long, is just highlight that liquidity, deep liquidity, equals stability on a project. And we think what we want is price action. It goes up, I sell it, yeah, dollars. But what we actually want long term, because this is better for everybody, including your profit, okay? Deeper liquidity is more stability for the project, which means when you get to that point, when you can sell off your unpaired Guard or remove your liquidity or whatever, it won't tank the chart, okay? And you might think to yourself, well, gosh, Brandon, I don't owe anybody else anything. You're right, you don't. What I'm suggesting is contributing to a deep liquidity pool benefits you, the investor. So when I contribute more liquidity, it benefits me. Does it benefit the project? Yeah. Does it benefit other investors? Yeah. But ultimately, it also benefits me, and that's good. So when I say buy low, sell high as a one-dimensional mode of thinking, I'm not saying, ooh, evil, bad. I'm just saying it's one-dimensional. You're not accounting for all of the other real-world variables that are involved in this process. So let's bring this full circle. You guys can ask more questions in the Telegram group and whatnot, and I'll use the feedback and the questions to publish content for new videos as well. So just know that I don't have a very hard-nosed set curriculum. I'm just saying hey, let me present a few ideas, and then we'll kind of collectively interact with those. So my recommendation here, again, that 80-20 split, 20% unpaired, 80% liquidity pair. And if we were to do it around this time, it would be approximately 25 cents on the low end all the way up to, I'm just going to say $50 as an example, okay? This would be your, not long term, but this is someone who I can leave it there for a few years and not worry about it. And I'm okay if $50 doesn't happen in 12 months. I'm okay if it takes 2 years or 3 years for it to get there, because I know that ultimately I'm getting closer to what I want, not just more of an arbitrary dollar that I say I want more of. I'm getting closer and closer to that big picture ultimate outcome that I want, okay? So we make that pair, and we set it up on Crystal, and then literally just leave it. So if you were to implement this now, I'm going to pull up Crystal, show you what that looks like. All right, so here we go. We're back to Crystal, crystal.app, Crystal with a K. And I'm going to select the BNB Smart Chain, and then I'm just going to type in Guard. There's my pool. Okay, and remember, the APR estimates, it's based on historical data. So at this stage, it's extremely inaccurate because the actual payout, the actual APR, is based on trade volume. So as volume increases, then the APR will also increase in kind. So I'm going to click on this one. And remember I said $10,000. I'm just going to use $100 for the demo here. And remember we said 80-20 distribution. So I'd say, okay, I've got 100 USDT loaded up, and I'm going to put 80 of that into a liquidity pair. So I'm going to put my price action to Guard. Here's my minimum at 25 cents, and I'm going to set my maximum, like I was talking about, to 50. Okay, 49.98. Great. Then I'm going to scroll down, and I've got this right here, add liquidity. Okay, I'm going to zap in. I'm going to zap in USDT, and I'm going to do my 80%. Okay, remember with Zap, you just put one asset in. It's going to buy the Guard for you, and then put it in a pair. So I'm going to put in the 80 there, and then it tells me, hey, we're going to get this and this, and I don't know exactly what that distribution is. $75 out of 80. It is probably around the 92%. I don't know how that exactly works out. Yeah, like 92% or something. So again, majority guard, but it will be that ratio will be gradually converted to more and more USDT as you approach the upper limit of the range that you set. So you don't have to set 50. You might say, Brandon, I'm on a short-term time horizon. I want to sell it all by the time guard gets to 10. Great. Set it to 10, ride that wave up, and then you'll have a whole bunch of leftover USDT after it. Okay, so then I'm going to go zap now. Confirm zap. It'll pop up MetaMask and have me confirm everything. And then we get success, and I could check new position. All that does is redirect me to the profile section of Crystal, where I can view current open positions. Oh, not found. Well, that's okay. Back to homepage, profile, and scroll down, and there it is, USDT guard. I can click on it here. It's going to show me what I got. Not really anything to look at right now, but we know we've got $80 of liquidity in there, $79.97. Then I still have my 20%. So, and I mean, you could navigate over to NightSwap if you wanted to. Nothing wrong with NightSwap. They also have USDT liquidity. But Crystal is using the liquidity from PancakeSwap for these positions, meaning you just contributed to the liquidity pool on PancakeSwap. So now you'll be contributing to the trade volume on PancakeSwap, which benefits everybody else who's a liquidity provider via Crystal. So now I can say, all right, I want to trade that USDT. I want to get some guard. Great. And I'm going to do my other $20. I'm going to get 70 guard, swap, confirm swap. Okay, transaction confirmed. If you haven't yet, obviously add guard to wallet so you can view the asset that you just purchased. And that's that. You've just completed the 80-20 model, meaning you've got 20% of whatever amount you decided to contribute. You've got 20% in naked or unpaired guard, and then the other 80% goes to a pair, but you put the majority of that pair in guard at first because you've created a range with a massive cushion to the upside in anticipation of what guard is going to inevitably do in the future. So, all right, that's it. Drop questions in the Telegram. Let me know what you think about these. These are unlisted on YouTube, so you can comment on YouTube as well. I read those. I respond when I can. And then we'll just keep moving forward with some other pathways as well. Because ultimately, like, yeah, it's awesome to do this with guard, but there are also other ways to do this with other crypto assets that can be just as profitable, but then we just integrate guard into those other strategies, okay? And I'll show you how to do that later.